What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back again with another £1,000 video, and we're going to be doing a cheeky little recap on Tammy's journey throughout this season and how she went from being in rehab and then all the way to ending up back pretty much in rehab. That's so sad to say. That's so sad to realize. Damn, it sounds worse when I say it out loud. But nonetheless though, shout out to every single person that is a member of the channel. Now with that being said, let's get into it.
When I got here, I weighed 689 pounds. Dr. Smith wants me to lose 100 pounds while I'm here. I work so hard, and I just don't know if it's going to pay off.
631.3. How do you feel about that?
Now, as you saw at the very beginning of the season, she was still in rehab and she had lost up to around about 60 pounds, as you witnessed there from that clip in general. And it's such a shame because she was on the right path. But sadly, after losing that 600-pound life, my apologies, I got two different shows in my head. But sadly, after losing that 60 pounds from rehab, well, the problem was that Tammy thought that she was now on the right path to happiness, on the right path to losing weight, on the right path to getting her surgery. So therefore, she decided to basically say to everybody, bye, I'm leaving rehab now. It's time for me to go home because I've got this shit under control. Let's have a look.
I'm sick. I miss my bed. I miss my family. So I think I'm ready to go. I want to try to get the rest of the way off on my own.
Now here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment in time, I know what I was thinking. And I hope when I say what I'm thinking, I'm speaking for everybody else, or at least the majority of us. I was thinking, hell no, you've only lost 60 pounds, okay? You weigh over 680 odd pounds at the time. You are only on 630-ish pounds. 60, that doesn't mean you're ready. If anything, I was thinking to be honest, you shouldn't release yourself until at least after your surgery. I personally think that she should have stayed there until surgery day, if you dig what I'm saying. And then after the surgery, then she could have potentially gone home. Purely because in that timeline, it would have given her more time to learn and get used to losing weight and eating within a certain calorie deficit and knowing when to eat, when not to eat, what to eat, and the whole freaking shebang. But because she lost a measly 60 pounds, yes, I said it, a measly 60 pounds, because 60 pounds compared to you weighing 680, come on man, get the hell out of here. But of course, in Tammy's fine form, Tammy likes to consult the best doctor in the world in her eyes, and that is her. And after this, well, ladies and gentlemen, she went home.
If I was to order out, it'd be like one burger and not anything else.
Oh yes, I almost forgot about that famous scene. If I was to order anything out, it'd be one burger, nothing else. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that one burger definitely was not the case because, well, we know where she ended. But anyway, let's proceed.
Pull it to the house. Amy, Michael, and Gage were sitting outside. About time. I missed a little bug.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? How she said that she missed a little bug. But throughout the season, she gave... Wait, how many times did she spend with Gage this season? Wait, how many times did she argue with and be confrontational in front of Gage this season? I'm pretty sure she was more confrontational around him than she was loving towards him. But hey, who am I to judge? Maybe that's how she gets Auntie of the Year. Who knows? But nonetheless, though, it is quite fitting, though, that when it came to this scene in particular, Chris obviously went and picked her up because Chris is a freaking saint. Come on now, let's not mess about. But it is quite interesting, that obviously, at this moment in time, it was only Amy. What's Amy's husband's name again? Shit, I forgot his name, you know. He's so quiet. Nonetheless, though, the point I'm trying to make here is that I think this scene would have been better if the whole family was there at the very beginning. Only because Tammy is someone that we know needs a lot of support. I think having a reception of everyone may have been the key to how this season could have gone better for her in terms of her health. But again, take that with a pinch of salt or a grain of salt, depending on your location. We say pinch of salt, some of you guys say grain of salt. What can I say? But anyway, with that being said, though, let's proceed.
Open it.
Tammy can't use the kitchen stove because the knobs are so far away and her belly gets in between her and the stove.
Know that you have issues with the oven and the stove because you can't reach over it. So we got it to help you be more independent.
You don't have any issues.
a good time. I ain't camping.
You know, I personally think that the gift of the stove, the portable one, cooktop. At first, I was like, "Are you trying to get Tammy to enable herself now?" But then they explained what they meant and why they bought it. And I said to myself, you know what? That's a very good idea. Help her be more independent. I see where you're going with this. But we know Tammy has serious mental health issues. We know that there's something going on that is so deep, so dark in her head that I believe that one of those things, out of the many things that drives her to be the way she is, unfortunately, one of those things is just family. It's how she believes her family sees her, how she believes her family treats her. Because let's be honest, Tammy and the rest of the siblings, we can't say that they've ever come from a family of where it's always been beautiful. I mean, look at it this way. Tammy and Amy, obviously, they're full siblings. Then you got Chris and Amanda, who are full siblings. Then you got Misty, who also is just alone. So, but I know Tammy and Amy have the same dad. Chris and Amanda have the same dad. And then Misty has a completely different dad. And I believe Misty's dad passed away. Chris and Amanda's father passed away, and then obviously you got theirs. Like, I forgot what the story between their mother is, but the fact is though, they were raised by their grandma, not necessarily their mother. And there's a clear pattern. The mum was obviously doing some madness throughout those years, flicking from this person to this person, and the fact that two of them passed away, that is suspect. Yeah. But let's not make conspiracies, okay? I'm just saying it's a bit suspect. But nonetheless, though, that itself alone is proof that there was never a comfortable dynamic within the family in terms of, you know, certain aspects. And to be fair, there is a part of the season where Amy does speak about how the family isn't very good at showing their emotions, and that's a root from something. You know, they rather show their emotions rather than negative way, in a frustrated way. But when it comes to the positive things, working with each other, it's something that they just can't really do. And the point I'm trying to make is that for them to buy her a stove, even though they were doing the right thing in their eyes, which I don't disagree with to a certain degree, in Tammy's eyes, though, on the other hand, I feel like she was looking at it thinking, so is this you guys just trying to tell me that you're trying to abandon me? Is you guys trying to tell me that you don't want to be anymore? Is this Amy trying to tell me that she doesn't want to be there for me anymore because, you know, she's always been my rock, it's always been us two anyway, majority of the time. So now you got a kid, you got a husband. I mean, at this point, Tammy didn't even know that Amy was even moving. So adding that later on into the season, finding that as well, I just feel like there's a build-up of so many things that Tammy, will only view in a negative way, as if people are trying to run away from her and neglect her and leave her alone, rather than her see it the other way. So I think that was also the beginning of something here itself in general, when it came to Tammy's, you know, the way Tammy is. But hey, if you disagree with that or you have a different analogy, let me know in the comment section. But until then, let's proceed.
Well, I can't go over to your house all the time like I was. It's just not possible with Gage and everything I got going on.
And it's crazy because if you look at the analogy I gave you guys a second ago, we're then leading into the next part of the season where they're all obviously the whole family's there eating food. Like I always say, when the whole family's there, they're always eating food. But anyway, let's get back on track. This is the thing though, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at the situation now, based on the first thing that I just said previously they're now at the table, and Amy's talking about how she wants to get Tammy a nurse. And at this moment in time, she's also, not only she's talking about getting a nurse, but she's saying the reason why is because now I've got a responsibility of Gage, which respectfully makes all the sense in the world. You know, Amy's only trying to do what's best for her child. That's the bottom line. And that is what Amy should always be trying to do. Doing what's best for her child, not what's best for her siblings. You know what I mean? So I absolutely respect and love the fact that Amy was ready to go down that path. But of course, at this moment in time, telling Tammy that she's going to need a nurse to do everything that Amy was doing for her, and then Amy telling her that I've got my own priorities, that's another sign of Tammy taking in that energy in a negative way and thinking to herself, so you guys really are trying to make me independent? You really are trying to push me away? Like, why can't you look after Gage but also be here for me too? That's the kind of mindset that I assume that Tammy would have been thinking at that moment in time. And to be honest, well, let's just get the reaction of Tammy, you know, once she finds out. Well, let's just get her reaction to the whole nurse being mentioned, because that will explain a lot, if you dig what I'm saying.
Amy needs to quit being lazy and pushing the issue of the nurse. I'm not a child.
Great idea. Somebody to come in and help her, meal prep or whatever.
I think getting somebody to help her take her places so she can get some exercise in
And get out and move around.
The fact is, as you saw there, Tammy made it clear that she's not a child. She doesn't need a babysitter. Like, what the hell? Why? And obviously her reaction in itself in particular does definitely tell us that Tammy was already on that road back to failure. She was already on that road back to where she's at now, and that is pretty much back straight into rehab. Sadly so. And to be fair though, let's not forget that, you know what, we'll get into that further down in the video.
We talked and held hands and just watched TV and got to know each other.
Oh, Philip, the BBW king. The thing is, Philip was a good replacement or distraction for Tammy. The only reason why Philip was in her life, at the time, and I still do believe this, purely because, she wants someone. She doesn't want to be alone, but everybody else in the family's got someone. But the matter of fact is that let's talk about how desperate she is to be with someone, regardless of what that person will do to her on health. Because every man that she's been with has only tried to jeopardize her health and make sure that she continues on her path. And that path is to an early grave, to be honest with you, in the grand scheme of things. But the matter of fact is, with everything that I've already said so far, her having someone that can make her feel wanted is something that she desires clearly. The only problem is though, is that with Tammy, throughout most of her life, when it's come to feeling wanted and feeling like people should be around her, it's always been more around the food aspect. And that is something that is clearly following her till this day. Because at this moment in time here, she's now dating a guy that wants her to continue eating. And the fact is, because that person's given her the same attention that she probably thinks is the same attention that she's been getting her whole life, and that's been around people that are there for her but also want to eat with her, she thinks that's what love is. She thinks that is what she deserves. She thinks that is her life's worth when it comes to mingling with other people. And that was more fuel to the fire, because at the end of the day, in her eyes at this moment in time, is why lose this weight if I've got no one to lose it for? Like, I need a purpose. She said it repeatedly throughout the season that she does want to lose weight, but the question has always been, what is that but? And that question is obviously something that only she can figure out, after going through some serious therapy. But I can only imagine that one of the reasons of her, why she always has that but of why she won't lose weight or can't lose weight is probably just like feeling of neglect. That feeling of feeling like as if, if I do it, then what? Because right now, nothing's going for me, so what's to tell me that anything's going to change? And most importantly, so you're telling me that I've got to lose this weight all by myself? And the matter of fact is, though, look at it this way, whenever it comes to her losing weight, the journey is generally always by herself. But when it comes to her gaining weight, the journey is always with someone else or with people. That's something that I've just figured out at this moment in time. It may not sound clear or feel clear at this moment in time, but really think about that. Each time she's in a situation where she's gaining weight, she's on a family table eating food. Or she's dating someone that is an enabler. But when it comes to her losing weight, well, she's always alone. Listen, we can get into the whole nurse situation, which is something that we will get into throughout the video. But we're looking at whenever she's looking to lose weight, recently anyway, it's alone. But then we go back to rehab. When she lost the weight in rehab, she wasn't alone. She lost it because she had people there supporting her. She had company. So maybe Tammy only believes that she's worth people's time if she's obviously eating. Because whenever she's not eating, people don't want to be around her. It's quite interesting, isn't it? That's why rehab is probably the best thing for her for a long time. But most importantly, even after that, she's going to need to be in a surrounding of people who want to support her needs to go forward. Because at the end of the day, it's easy to tell someone to lose weight, but it's not the same thing when you tell them to lose weight, but then you leave them to do by themselves. And of course, me, myself in particular, I believe that you should do anything and conquer everything by yourself. That is what really makes you into a strong character, in my opinion. But of course, not everybody has that outlook on life. Some people feel like they need to have exterior motivations. And that is clearly Tammy, in my opinion. And that is one of the things. But hey, let's proceed.
Not seem like a pretty good team. Having Tisa around is a lot better than having Amy around. Tisa is not going to argue with me. And if she does, she's like playful.
Let's talk about this here. So at this moment in time, Tammy took it upon herself to throw jabs at Amy. Did she need to throw jabs at Amy? Not necessarily, no. But she did for a reason. And the reason is, in my opinion, is that when it came to her working with Tessa Tissa. She calls it Tissa, right? I call it Tessa, but okay, cool. It is what it is. But let's call it Tissa. Now, obviously, at first when she was working with Tissa, you know, Tammy was quite, you know, rude, quite abrupt. She was quite, you know, forceful against her. But eventually she was able to come around and actually work as a team with Tissa, which is absolutely fantastic. But in that moment in time, she took that moment to throw a jab straight at Amy. And the reason being is because, you see, Amy's letting her go now. Amy's now stepping away to the side. It's not about the fact that her and Amy have had a love and hate relationship. It's the fact that her love and hate relationship seems to be ending more and more. And now you got someone new coming into the picture to fill in that void. But the problem is, though, with the Tissa situation, in my opinion, is that Tissa was only working there 2 days a week from what I remember. It could have been 3, I'm not too sure. But I feel like the fact is, though, if you're going to give her a nanny, she's going to need someone that's probably going to be there at least 7 days a week. No, at least 5 days a week minimum, if you ask me. Because Tammy's one of those people, right? She needs someone to be there to support at all times. And if no one's there supporting her, then what does she do? She goes into that dark mind and then boom, boom. All of a sudden, it goes from that one burger that she spoke about to God knows how many. You know what I mean? And that is just a grand scheme of it. And that is where it becomes even more sad. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is that with Tammy, we know she's someone that likes to manipulate. We know someone she likes to be abrupt. But from the little work that we did see Tissa do, Tissa did do a very good job, to be honest with you. In fact, she done a job that was going somewhere. But the problem is, though, is 2 days out of 7 days isn't going to do nothing. When Tammy was in Rehab, she was there every single day, which is why it worked. So I do argue and say that if Tissa had been there, you know, on more, again, 5 days minimum, I do feel like maybe we would have seen a different outcome to Tammy. But Tammy was given too much time to herself. Because remember, like I said, Amy has now pulled herself away being a mother, okay? And it's sad, though, because Amy isn't the only bloody sibling, but Amy was the only one that was there all the time. But the fact that she's now gone, well, what did that do? That gave Tammy more time to herself. And in that time to herself, well, she spent that time speaking to the BBW King and having arguments. And now they finally broke up, thank God. But when she wasn't doing that, she was then near the end of the season, she was going out and partying with her friends and drinking and doing God knows what else, which again, wasn't helpful. And then if it wasn't that, she was just probably at home on the same chair, on the same spot, just ordering stuff. To be fair, the only time we saw her move from that spot in her own home was when Tissa was around. But again, though, we only saw Tissa, about 2 or 3 times this season. Apart from that, she was nowhere to be seen purely because she wasn't there all the time. And the matter of fact is, even though I believe people should be in this world to fend for themselves and people should be in this world to look out for themselves and they shouldn't rely on other people, even though I believe that, it doesn't mean that I don't understand that there are a lot of people who do rely on other people. And the fact is, Tammy's one of those peoples. And it's so sad that that is how she's always going to be, because the grand scheme of the thing is that this drift that she's now having from her family mentally, it's only going to start becoming bigger, because the fact is Amy is now pregnant with a second child. Amy's hands are going to be tied up more than ever now. So the reality is this: even if Tammy does make it out of Rehab, which she probably will, what's to stop her going backwards? Because the fact is, when she comes out, she's going to need a warm reception, and that warm reception is going to be able to go to a home where there's something to live for, or someone to live with that can support her in the right direction. Which is why, for me, myself in particular, I'm not too sure if a rock bottom really does matter for Tammy. But hey, let's proceed, because there's more that happened throughout this season.
Okay, looks like 6:39.
I gained weight back.
How do you feel about that?
I'm not happy about it.
You know, at this moment in time, as we picture Tammy right here, right now, she was asked about her weight. So at this moment in time, she has gained 15 pounds since her last time. And does her face look like someone that is generally bothered? And I think that's the problem, isn't it? Our expressions, our body language scream 1,000 words. You know what I mean? Give or take. And the matter of fact is, as I look at this image here, myself in particular, I think to myself, this is someone that has no hope for themselves. This is someone that just sees himself always fluctuating. This is someone that will happily say the right things to themselves and maybe even say the right things to other people, when in reality, they don't even have the real faith, the real hope, purely because that person is missing something. That is the question for you guys. What do you think that is? But hey, let's proceed.
What's on the line? We gotta do the exercise. Come on, sis. Come on, sis. Go back and forth on the side. Tammy is the youngest one in the water, but the ladies in the pool are doing better than Tammy.
Okay, so let's talk about the swimming pool scene. The swimming pool scene was a very interesting one for me because, you know, everything is generally lighter when you're underwater. When she went underwater originally, she was fine. But then when it came to the exercise, she didn't want to do it. Her excuses, well, do you know what? Forget her excuses, because the grand scheme of things is just laziness. Because Tammy could have done it. Without a shadow of a doubt, she could have done it. And if anything, that exercise stuff alone on a weekly basis would have probably been one of the best keys to helping her lose weight. You know, shedding off that 15 pounds quicker than anything else, okay, that she gained extra. But instead of doing that, she didn't want to take it seriously. Tammy at that moment in time literally was acting like a toddler. It's like she got into a swimming pool for the first time in her life, and all she wanted to do was just float around and relax. But when it came to actually doing the thing that she needed to be done, didn't want to hear about it, which is toddler type behavior. Which is so sad because Tissa at that moment in time really had Tammy in a good place. And when I say in a good place, what I mean is she had her in a place where she was able to get her out of the house, get her all the way to the swimming pool, even get to the point where she was even able to get changed in her swimming stuff, and then even getting in there. All the basics were done. But then when it came to doing the task, all of a sudden, boom, she's like, nah, I don't want to do it. That is an answer that technically I can never answer, nor can you maybe. I don't know, you guys can have your thoughts. But at that moment in time, something dark happened. Whatever happened, only Tammy knows. And maybe it'll be revealed later on in the next season, who knows. But the matter of the fact is, though, I'll tell you this now. Seeing Tammy come out of that swimming pool, now everybody knows when you're wet, when your clothes are wet, it's heavier. Doesn't matter the material, it's going to be heavier regardless. So the fact that she was able to get herself out of that swimming pool by herself, with all that weight, and when I say weight, I'm not talking about her body weight, I'm talking about the clothing weight that's added on top. And to see her use the arm strength to be using those side railings, and then the leg strength to climb up those stairs, that tells me that Tammy has a whole lot more mobility there than she says. I'm not saying that she lies when she talks about her hurting, but what I'm saying is that, like, put in a certain situation, if she has to, she will. And that is the pinnacle of what I'm trying to say here. Tammy just doesn't want to. Because if she wanted to, she would. Do you see what I'm saying? Because honestly, like, if I go to the swimming pool right now, wearing the same type of material she is, trust me, getting out, I'm gonna feel it. Even with just my swimming trunks alone. You know what I mean? It's nuts. Everybody knows the feeling. So that part was quite interesting, but hey, let's proceed.
I guess you can say I did it. Because I was tired of fighting with him, and just he said my insecurities were my problem. And like at the beginning of the relationship, I told him, I was like, can you promise me you'll help me through my insecurities? He said they got to be too much.
You know, this scene here, I gotta say, is probably one of the most underrated scenes of them all. And I say that because this scene here was proof that Tammy has the ability to open up. She has the ability to definitely talk. It's just a matter of selection of who she wants to talk to. Because throughout the season, the doctor, you know, did try and mention, and numerous times, you know, it was mentioned, I'm pretty sure, about her seeking help and getting therapy. Because obviously that's something that she definitely wants, she definitely needs. The difference is she needs to be able to want to actually apply herself. And I find that when Tammy and Amy are getting along, Tammy is a different person in terms of what she lets out, what she allows to let out of her mouth. You know, what she allows to let out from deep underneath. The fact is, in this conversation here, she was asked in a simple way by Amy, you know, so what's happening with you and Philip? Was it a mutual breakup? And she was able to give details. To many people, you may think it wasn't insane details, but for Tammy, trust me when I tell you, in my opinion, that was details, which tells me that because Amy's now on her way, Tammy's always going to use that as the core to her destruction, shall I say. Like I said before in the very beginning, she was raised by her nan, or grandma, as Americans say, same as Amy. But also on top of that, when the grandma wasn't there, it was just her and her sister, Amy. Best buds, okay, unbreakable. Both of them gained weight together. Difference is one of them lost weight and then had a child. Tammy's left behind. Or at least in Tammy's eyes, she feels left behind. But whenever she can have that moment to have that conversation with Amy, walls break and they talk. Look at it this way.
Phil and I broke up. You said I broke up? Yeah.
Notice that when the producer asked her the question, she pauses and she doesn't go in for an actual response. She just keeps it very, very simple. It tells you the differences of her communications. Of course, it's very easy to say that it's always going to be easy for you to communicate to your family members or someone who's close to you rather than someone that's a stranger, but that's not always necessarily true. Some people can easily open up to strangers, but can't open up at all to their loved ones. Point blank period. But she can do that with Amy, to be more specific. Because throughout this season, to be fair with you, there were times when Chris tried to speak to her, Amanda tried to speak to her, Miss tried to speak to her. But each and every time that any of them tried to speak to her, she was always quite reserved or defensive. Especially when it came to Amanda, it was just a war. But when it comes to Amy, if Amy asks in a certain way, in a certain direction, she'll just answer it with ease. But this is the thing though, Tammy has to realize that Amy isn't her life source. Tammy needs to realize that she is her own life source. It's so sad, but at the same time, and forgive me for saying this, I know some of you might be touched by what I'm saying, but as much as it's sad, at the same time it is also pathetic. And the reason I say it's pathetic is because Tammy is neglecting the fact that Amy isn't moving away from her by choice. She has to, because she's married now. She's got a child now. And she now has a second child on the way too. A second boy from what I understand. So Amy has to do that. So that's why I call Tammy's behavior or mindset pathetic. Some of you may think, no, but I'm the same, blah, 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 blah. So what if you are? Maybe you're pathetic too. Because the fact is, if you can't hold yourself accountable for actions that you're making that are harming yourself just because somebody else is moving on, that is a you problem. And that's something that you have to work on. Otherwise, you're going to continue being pathetic. But hey, let's proceed.
You look like you're scowling at me, like you don't want to be here.
Now, this is the scene where she's now with the therapist. Remember what I said about the producer pausing, but the producer, she can just about speak because she's used to them now. Amy asked a question that a breeze. Therapist, professional asked a question. We all remember the scene, the way she treated the therapist. It was disgusting. It wasn't nice at all. It's so sad that she weighs her life on Amy's shoulders. Man, it's quite laughable if I do so say myself. Only because this is not my way of life. At the end of the day, we have a responsibility to pick ourselves up, and we have a responsibility to go and seek help ourselves, and then when it comes to want it. And at the same time, if we're fortunate enough to have family members around us who want to support us, it's our responsibility to take that support. But if we don't have support of family members, and we don't have support of anyone in general, then we got to pick ourselves up. But either way, though, understand this. This is the link between all of that. Regardless, the key is always picking yourself up. You going to get help from a therapist is you picking yourself up and wanting that help. You going to get help from your family is you picking yourself up and going to get that help. You not having family or you not having a therapist, you still got to do what though? Pick yourself up and want to do better. That's the thing that people ignore all the time. People always like, no, forget your but. No idea what I just did there. It just came out of my mouth. Okay, calm yourself down. Anyway, picking yourself up is the key. Amy cannot pick up Tammy because she's not Tammy. No one can pick you up but you. Before we achieve anything, we have to put ourselves in the perspective and the mindset that we're going to go do it. Either by ourselves or with someone else's support. But either way, it's the same thing. You got to pick yourself up first to get there. I'm sure I made my point. But let's proceed.
I'm not saying you haven't. I'm just saying I need you to be a little bit more cooperative if that's possible, okay?
I'm not comfortable. I'm not going to talk.
Well, a lot of times when I deal with individuals who have some type of an addiction, Often it's because they're struggling with something internally, and that's the best coping that they can find at that time. Maybe you've used food to kind of cope with some stuff that you're struggling with.
The fact is, Tammy just didn't want to know because the doc, or the therapist might say, actually he's a doctor, isn't it? Yeah, wasn't Amy. But hey, man, we're nearly here. Let's get it.
So we had a goal to lose 25 pounds, and we're up 10. So I really need you to tell me what's truly, and be honest, what's going through your head right now.
And there goes another 10 pounds added on. Damn. This season was depressing, man. Damn. I can only hope that Tammy's life motivates other people to pick themselves up, to be honest with you. Because, boy, if this doesn't motivate you, then damn. I gotta stop doing that, right? Damn.
Okay, so how many times did you go to the therapist?
I went once in person, and we tried a Zoom call.
Okay.
Where I live, there's no signal.
Okay.
So I tried the Zoom time 3 times.
Okay.
I called her phone, I told them politely, it wasn't working, can we just do it over the phone, regular phone? Told me no, they had to see me on Zoom to set up another meeting.
Okay.
Listen, I don't know about Tammy's location, so I can't really say too much about this phone signal. But I do wonder, though, if she was hiding from being seen on camera. Sometimes people hide from that, don't they? You know, sometimes that happens. I don't have too much to say on that, but I just really felt like that was a very important part to really document in this video. So if you guys can give me your thoughts on that, on why do you think that it was so hard for Tammy to make a Zoom call with the therapist? Because as far as I'm concerned, if we're looking at the previous clip, she was abrupt with the therapist. She didn't want to work with the therapist. So to be honest with you, I don't even know if she even tried. I question that, to be honest with you. But the fact is, though, Tammy's whole life or whole journey this season has shown us nothing but just destruction. The whole journey has been leading to where it ended. It's so sad, though, because when you're making this type of video, it's even harder and more saddening because you know where it's going to end. And in reality, we don't really want it to end the way it ended. Let's proceed.
It was a little difficult using the electric wheelchair. I don't know what the heck's going on. I don't know what to do. I've never used one. Plus, I didn't want the thing in the first place. So I'm wondering if this is for me or is it for them?
Is it for me or is it for them? It goes back to the whole perspective of this video. Tammy's dark place, a part of it at least anyway, and that is being left behind. That is feeling like everybody's just trying to get rid of her. Everybody's trying to move on with their lives and their careers and everything that they got. Well, no, let's not say careers, but you know. But everybody's trying to move on with their own lives, with their perfect surgeries, their perfect weight losses, with their perfect families, with just their perfect everything, while Tammy's left here all alone. I swear to God, they're all trying to leave me, man. I'm just gonna keep eating more burgers and burgers. And then to make it worse, what happens after that? Well, we're going to get into that in a minute. But the fact is this, though, the pattern that I've noticed, I hope you guys can see it too, because it's a chain of events throughout the season where everything for Tammy has been a perspective of everybody's just doing things to get rid of me. Nobody's doing things because they're actually looking to help me, which is such a damn shame. Because I genuinely do believe that the things they were doing were to not only help Tammy, but also to help themselves as well. Which is obviously a good thing because they've all got responsibilities away from Tammy. Especially Amy, who needed the most, who needed to get away from Tammy the most. But hey, Tammy is so negative, she can't even see how this is beneficial for the family as well as it is for her too. But let's get it.
You want a piece of pizza?
Yeah. Thank you.
There you go.
It's slapping. We don't eat healthy because for me, if I eat something like pizza or pizza rolls, the bread soaks up the alcohol and then the grease helps so we don't get too hungover.
Okay, technically, what Tammy's saying is true, technically. But the fact is, she's just using it as an excuse of why she should be eating pizza, why she should be eating burgers or anything that's unhealthy. So therefore, she doesn't get hungover. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it then came to this. But once we got to the point of her drinking and eating, that's when we all knew, or at least I knew anyway, that the end was near. This is so deep, so dark. I should have said this at the beginning, but if you're triggered right now and, you know, by Tammy, then that's your fault for watching this video, because you should know by now that when you watch a video with Tammy Slaton, okay, there's going to be a potential chance that you get triggered. Yeah, I ain't taking no blame for that. Come on now. Damn. Anyway, let's proceed.
I ain't gonna be able to go on church for a while, and I won't have money to go anywhere because I just made an offer on a house and they accepted it.
Dun dun dun! And that was the pinnacle moment when Tammy's life went all the way upside down even more. Finding out that your best friend, the sibling that you love the most, when you grew up with, is now moving away from you. And Tammy's facial expressions, to be honest with you, explained it all. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this facial expression does not lie at all, does it now? But of course, Tammy in fine form, instead of expressing how she felt, which technically she had no right, to be honest with you, you know what I mean? Because this is for Amy, and this is for Amy's family, and this is for the future of Gage, and also the future of her next child as well, you know what I mean? But hey, Jesus.
Is it like a new thing to be partying right now? Like, what's going on?
I am trying to do self-love, trying to fall in love with myself again, find happiness within myself. So, just trying to be happy.
That's a good way to be, but there's other outlets you can explore. But
what else do I got to do?
Oh.
Right.
Quite crazy though, because throughout that whole scene there, when Tammy was talking about self-love, all she was doing is looking directly at Amy. I'm looking for the self-love. Yeah. Self this. Yeah. Self that. Yeah. You know, that's her basically saying that I don't have you no more. So I now gotta find a way to love myself and enjoy life because you're leaving me behind. Yeah. And then obviously, you know, when Amy has her opinion on it, Tammy's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Whoo-wee. Ooh-wee. And this was the moment when we thought that Tammy had finally this is the moment when we knew Tammy had reached her new rock bottom. But the sad thing is that I knew, and at least I hope you knew, that this wasn't going to be the last rock bottom that she hit.
They're just telling us that her lungs have given up, like her body is shutting down. So at this point, you know, we're facing making funeral arrangements for my little sister.
And then we came to the end of the season. Tammy had obviously now fallen into a coma. Her body had given up. Tammy's thinking about arrangements. The saddest thing is that all the signs were there. To imagine, Tammy started the season in rehab and then ended the season in rehab. Damn, that is not the way. And this is why I still question. This is why I still strongly question: does Tammy Slaton really have a rock bottom? Obviously, her going to rehab this time was for different reasons to the first time. This time, she went to rehab because clearly her body was ready to just... The first time, it was around the same thing. The only difference is, though, the coma didn't happen. And to be quite frank with you, the coma is the new rock bottom. But is it the pinnacle point? Well, recently she went live, didn't she? On her TikTok. The fact is, you know, I could never ever believe anything that Tammy Slaton says until I physically see it. Physically see it. Even if they do an episode where they say she's lost 50 pounds, 100 pounds, I've got to see it. See it as I look at her. Amy said during the season that she cannot notice when Tammy has lost 60 pounds purely due to her blindness. So Tammy would have to lose a whole lot more than that for her to notice. And to be quite frank with you, I may not be blind like Amy, but I am on the same wavelength in terms of like, unless I see a dramatic change, the cycle is going to keep going around and around and around. The question is though, how many more cycles does Tammy Slaton have left?
And then the last day we was there, she woke up. And she kept telling us she loved us and wanted to go home.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end the video there. At the end of the day, like I said already, she may be back in rehab and she may have survived this coma. But only time will tell. But hey, I guess until next season, we won't know anything. Well, until next season, we can only keep up to date with the things that are happening on her TikTok and on any other platform that is reporting on Tammy Slaton, which happens to be right here on this channel. So don't worry, whenever I have some information, I'll be here to update you guys. But until then, please continue to support the channel and please continue to support any other videos that I do upload related to whatever the hell I decide to talk about, if you dig what I'm saying. But thank you so much for your time. Like, subscribe, and why not become a member? Peace.